Hello and welcome to this episode of Voices of Fostering. And the voice we're going to be hearing from today is one of our lovely team, Callum. Now, he is a Supervised Family Center Manager at Heath Farm, and he joins us now. Hello, Callum.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. So, Callum, just tell us briefly a little bit about your role at Heath Farm, about what you do.
So my role entails facilitating supervised family time. I manage a very good and very successful family centre where children placed within our organisation can have supervised contact with their biological families. Everything we do is risk assessed and safeguarded. The sessions between the children and their families are fully supervised and documented. And it's about making sure that we can still facilitate regular contact with their families.
Yeah, sounds like you do a really important job there. But we're not going to talk so much about that today. What we want to focus on is transferable skills, really, from blue light workers. And this is because you yourself, you're quite new to this role, aren't you, in fostering, in the National Fostering Group? And your background, you were a police officer, is that right? So tell us why you decided to change careers, really.
So I've worked in the police for about 3.5 years, and within the police, as much as my day-to-day role was being a police officer, a frontline police officer for 10 years, I worked with down here in Kent. I worked with the Kent Volunteer Police Cadets, which was a completely voluntary role. I did that for nearly 10 years, and that was working with children aged 13 to 18. Who not necessarily wanted to join the police, but it was about giving them a safe space to learn about policing and teach them life skills. I absolutely loved doing that, and it was working with children with all from all walks of life and all different backgrounds. So I knew I had a passion for working with and helping children, and then I came across this role, and I thought that'd be suited perfectly to me. I recently became a father myself in September, so my outlook on everything changed, and I realised that this is something that I feel I'd be very good at doing. So I started here in December, and I've loved it, to be completely honest.
Yeah. And of course, we have foster carers from all sorts of different backgrounds who've done all sorts of different jobs. But what do you think it is about blue light careers, like the police, for instance, that lends itself so well, really, to being a foster carer?
So, like I said, day to day, you work with and speak to people from all walks of life and all different ages. The police teaches you a whole range of skills, but I think the most basic and fundamental skill is communication. You learn very quickly how to communicate with people with, like I said, from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different needs, and different ways of communicating as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, when I find myself really, when I can think of a handful of people that I've met in my life, and when you find out that they used to be a police officer, there's almost like another sort of level of respect that you have for them. Do you find that carers who, their children in their care know that about them, maybe that's a sort of added bonus, if you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, perhaps. I think there's that element of almost being a role model.
Yeah.
I know from being a police officer, you're a role model both on duty and off duty. And I think children that might be placed with a serving police officer or anyone in the blue light community, there's always that element of being a role model and someone that children can really look up to.
Yeah. And can I ask you, Callum, you were a police officer for, you say, 3 or 4 years. Why was it that you decided to change careers?
So I just, being a police officer is challenging. That's the secret. Don't get me wrong, it's a great career, great job. You deal with the best and worst of everything. I've seen some brilliant things, but I've also dealt with some terrible things. But like I said, my role that I worked in alongside being a police officer was with the cadets and working with children, and teaching them and working with them. So I realised that's something that I had a real passion for and was
Yeah.
and was really good at. So yeah, like I said, I came across this role and thought that's something where I could really make a difference and really help.
Yeah. Yeah, we've touched on, how the skills that you have as a police officer, for instance, can be transferable to fostering because of the challenging situations that arise. What are some of the challenging situations that do arise within fostering? For anybody who's watching this who maybe is new to thinking about fostering, what are some of the challenges that they might face?
So I'd say within fostering, obviously, the children that come into foster care won't necessarily have expected it to happen. They'd be very distressed, and would have had to have left their normal routine, then their day-to-day life. So I'd say there's a lot of conflict management. The children are very upset, understandably so, because they've been taken from everything that they know, and this is it's a whole new environment, and effectively complete strangers to these children. So with that, some conflict can arise in certain behaviours. So again, from background as a police officer, conflict management and how to deal with those situations, the way you communicate, the way your body language can reassure someone. So all that sort of side of things, conflict management and verbal and non-verbal communication can really help to manage a situation when a child is distressed and you're trying to be a role model for that child.
Yeah. I think it's important to note as well, though, Callum, of course, there's a lot of support for you as well. You're not just going to be expected to deal with all of this yourself, are you?
No, there's always support on offer. I know the team that I work with at Heath Farm, having been here, in reality, just a short space of time, the Heath Farm team in particular is brilliant. And I know that there's a lot of support from NFG nationwide.
Yeah. And foster carers that you know now and you deal with now in your day to day, are any of them from blue light careers?
To be honest, I haven't come across one yet. There's not one that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there are plenty. I know outside of NFG, for example, my in-laws are foster carers themselves. My father-in-law is currently a serving police officer. So they are out there,
Yeah.
and it is a great thing to do, whether you're blue light community or not.
Yeah. And what sort of qualities do you see in them then that, have obviously come from that career?
Well, in my in-laws,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I said, my father-in-law is a serving police officer. Again, I see that communication. He himself as well. He also did a lot of work with the children in the police cadets. So I see that conflict management, being a role model day to day, and just the way that they communicate with the young people that they look after, is brilliant.
Yeah. So obviously you're fairly new to fostering, aren't you? To the fostering industry, if you like, to National Fostering Group. How are you finding it so far, Callum? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it, to be honest. Yeah, I absolutely love the role that I do now, the work that I do now. I feel like I'm achieving something and helping. Just enabling a child to have some supervised family time with their biological family, is a job well done, really.
Yeah. And of course, when you were a police officer, could you have imagined yourself in a role like this? You said you were always sort of working towards it, but I imagine it's a bit of a dream come true for you, really.
Yeah, the police. When I was in the police, there's an element, I suppose, of fear of the unknown, being outside of the policing organisation. That's what you've been trained to do, and that's all you know. But yeah, I actually love the work I do now. I wasn't sure whether some of the skills that I have are transferable, but they absolutely are. yeah, I couldn't be happier with the work I do now.
Yeah, and you'd encourage others that are maybe in the police or other blue light professions, to think about fostering as well.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. It's a great thing to do. And like I said, there's plenty of support available to assist with anyone who's thinking about fostering, and you'll always be helped.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing today, Callum. It's been lovely to chat to you, and best of luck with the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to find out more, head online and search National Fostering Group and make this the year you foster.